everyone, and welcome to the 30-Day Summit, where Russell Brunson has brought together a collection of his top 2 Comma Club and 8-figure award winners to share with you how they would literally survive and begin to rebuild their business in just 30 days if they lost it all. My name is Bailey Richard, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Stephen Larsen. For 2 years, Steve Larsen was the lead funnel builder at ClickFunnels for Russell Brunson and put over 500 under his belt. But honestly, he lost track a year ago. His podcast, Sales Funnel Radio, was created to share best practices, teach the finer points of marketing and funnelology, and frankly just lets him nerd out as long as others are listening. Long walks on the beach aren't his thing, but he loves slapping fives. So Steve, welcome to the summit.
How's it going?
It's going really, really well. Super excited to have you here. I know you're excited for this as well. So let's just go ahead and dive in. So far, you're the only summit interviewee that I've spoken to whose plan is to be very, very open about your struggle with your audience, even going so far as to make it the backbone of your free content. In the first week, you say that you're going to create a podcast that will allow you to share your story and your journey. So I was wondering if you could talk a lot more about this strategy.
Yeah. For that strategy, I think it's important for people to know that whatever, how should I start this? I want to start by saying, there's this mentality, right? There's this persona that people feel like they have to take on when they start doing, especially something like an internet business or business in general. I feel like when people think of business, they're like, hey, I don't even own a briefcase, therefore I can't be successful. And it's like this thing. They're like, I've got this checklist. I got to go do these things. Like, well, I'm not good at this. I can't speak. I can't do X, Y, and Z. Like, I was so shy and had such a huge lack of confidence growing up. I always thought that was a hindrance. And yes, obviously I needed to learn how to speak. I needed to learn how to be in front of people and things like that. But showing my journey of learning that was so much more powerful. And I feel like if you can learn to be an attractive character, it actually is this safety net for anything that will suck inside your funnel or something that's actually not good for your sales message or anything. Like it's this parachute that actually you build around yourself. So yeah, publishing for me is the beginning of every funnel.
Makes a ton of sense. Now, in your plan, you also specifically mentioned what your goal is going to be whenever it comes to both product offerings and revenue. And you mentioned that your goal is going to be to create a mid-range info product. So I was wondering what you meant by that.
I love information products just because the margins are so huge, right? And that's what I sell now. And then it gives me money for ads. So a mid-range product, if I go and I start doing like some $7.95 e-com product, the issue I have with it is that there's very low margin to mess up. I can't mess up at all. Like if I have a book or I've got something and that's the very first thing I'm actually giving to my audience, let's say 1 week goes bad, I could be dead in the hole. So instead, I believe that questions invite revelation. I don't want to go like too deep on that, but I do. And so if I want to sell something expensive, it actually takes the same amount of mental oomph that it takes for me to go sell something that's inexpensive. And so I might as well just go for something that's expensive or mid-range and give myself the backing and security that I'm looking for in that 30-day window.
Okay, so when deciding what to build your mid-range info product around, you say it's incredibly important to have a clear message that goes against one of the main industry's trends. So could you talk a little bit more about that?
So this is one of the ways I come up with the hook. If you think of the hook is the thing that just grabs someone around the shoulders and just shakes up. Look at me, was it like 20 years ago, people were seeing 500 ads a day and now it's like 5,000 or something like that. And so you got to get good at having eyeballs. This game, it's show business. Yeah, you got to have a shtick. You got to have, you got to be talkable. And one of the easiest ways to do that, like for my current product, right? All I did is I looked and I saw what things people currently believed, mainstream, they needed to do in order to be successful. And then all I do is I just pit against that and just throw rocks publicly as hard as I can at it. Not at people, not at businesses, but I'm hucking rocks as hard as I can at one solid idea that I know everyone kind of believes, because then that's going to become very, very free talkability and marketing for me as I start to launch a mid-tier product. And they're like, wait, what? The guy says, what? Right? Something that's it's got to be jarring, very alluring.
Okay, so by the end of week 1, your podcast has already been started and you've even invited some influencers on board to be interviewed, but you mentioned something very specific that you're going to be doing with that interview content. And I was wondering if you could talk to us about that.
Yeah, the first few, Well, at first, actually, I wouldn't do interviews. I actually would start out. I would do the first few episodes would be me telling my origin story, why on earth I'm getting into the thing that I'm selling. The next few episodes I would talk about, it literally would be a sideways webinar. That's actually how I launched my current one, and it worked incredibly well. And so it's cool is that when they come in, they hear my origin story. Why on earth am I doing the thing that I'm doing? The very next episode is basically the same story that I would tell in secret number 1 in a webinar. The next episode is secret number 2 story. The next episode is secret number 3 story. And that rollout strategy, when I've done that, is ridiculous because it creates, I don't need to convince people to keep coming back and listening to me. They understand the vision. They understand why I'm throwing rocks. They know exactly what I'm doing. They know the mission that I'm on. And it's cool because it's almost like this big rah, like, yeah, I'm with that guy. Holy crap, this is so cool. Yeah, let's stick it to the man. That's kind of the mentality that I get with people when I roll out that strategy. And then around episode like 5, 6, 7, 8, around there, I call it reaching 2 levels up. And so I think through, like, if there's if it's me and I'm brand new and no one knows who I am, there's someone who has just a little bit more following than I do. And then there's someone who's just a little more following than they do. And I think, then up here, like, we keep going up. Then it's the next guy. Then there's Russell Brunson. Look how much influence that guy has. Oh my gosh, right? The next one up, clearly at the very top is Batman, right? Whoa, holy crap, right? But what I do is I always reach 2 levels up as far as influence, and that's who I ask to get on my podcast. When you're podcasting, it's serious leverage. When you have your own show, people return your calls. And so if I have very limited time and I have a sweet product and it's pushing against the grain, like, they're going to want to know about it. And so that's the reason why. And anyway, every time I've done it, it within a matter of weeks, you kind of like trade up the chain as far as influence goes. You're like, well, that guy got on, so maybe I should too. That guy got it. What? And suddenly you amass this list from other people's lists. You don't have to spend time or money making this huge list. Since only 30 days, like, for me, that's one of the fastest ways to get a very loyal following of buyers.
And in your plan, you even mentioned that instead of spending time creating a freebie to give away to grow your list, you would actually package up the top 3 best interviews with those influencers on your podcast and give those away as a freebie. So could you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. So if I'm out and I'm doing all these interviews, when you have a platform, especially any kind of publishing platform, blog, YouTube, for me, I love podcasts. That's power. And people want to get seen. They want eyeballs, right? And the game you're playing is that if I can make the person I'm interviewing have an increase of status while protecting any kind of fear of loss of status, they're going to get on my show. And so I bring them on in, right? And I give them this boost of status because people turn around and they're like, yeah, I just got interviewed. Oh yeah, I just got interviewed, right? And it's this, I kind of, oh, look at me, and they know that. And that's great and that's fine. So I play into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all want that. We all feel that. But if I can do that to them and have them feel and have them think, oh man, this is so crazy cool. That's harder for people who don't have a show to pull off, right? Why, they'll give me time of day for a show because that episode's going to live on forever. And so what I do, with 30 days, that's tight. That's real tight. What I would do though is leverage the position that I'm in to document and sell rather than create. So since I'm already doing it, might as well package it up and use it for a lead gen thing. And let's say they didn't hear those episodes. Well, sweet. At least we're building a list again through that.
Okay, makes sense. So now you've got your podcast, you've got some influencers on there. In week 2, you discussed trying to find consumers who can help you for free get feedback on a future product. And you also mentioned that you really want this future product to fall in what you call a purple ocean. Now, we've definitely heard about red ocean, blue oceans before, but what is this purple ocean and why is that your strategy?
Yeah, so one of the issues with coming up with something that's totally brand new. It's funny. You read a book, right? .com Secrets. It's pretty much always within arm's length for me. You read .com Secrets, and it says, right, the main premise of the book is don't ever do anything new. Model with someone else. Model somebody else. Model. And don't come up with something, brand new people come with brand new products to get arrows in their back. And then you read Expert Secrets, and this says, why would you model anyone else? Make something totally brand new, make something totally prolific, something that no one's ever done before. And it's like, oh, there's like this clash that happens. So you use them in tandem, you do them together. And funny enough, this is red and this is blue. I don't think he intended that. I just realized that right now. But the intent is to use them together and create a purple ocean. If I do something that's completely blue, it's kind of like Excel. I mean, how many of us honestly use Excel for every feature that's in there? No. Most of us just use, right? Add, subtract, right? Divide, multiply. That's kind of it. If you go in that product itself, you take Excel itself, and let's say they didn't have add, subtract, divide, multiply, and you pull those things out of it, but that product is going to be so prolific, it's going to be so disruptive that the market can't even handle it. It's almost like the technology for touch screens. That's been out forever, but the market, the infrastructure of the market can't handle that prolific of a product. And so if you go blue ocean, really, really, really blue, it's actually risky, super risky, because there's not any infrastructure for anyone to buy it. So if I go straight blue, for me, it scares me. If I go totally red, my only option is to compete on price because I'm selling the exact same things as everybody else. So I kind of try and find a combination of the two. I call it purple ocean, where the offer has elements of red and elements of blue. And so you create the security. The red tells you what they want, and the blue, that's where you get to play in your playground as an entrepreneur. So I create purple. It's usually like a 2-day class, so hopefully it made sense. There's a lot of techno babble. But it's, anyway.
Okay, great. So let's turn to the actual product launch now. You've mentioned that your focus is info products, and in your plan, you say that you're actually going specifically to launch a course. So could you tell us about the strategy that you're going to use to market and ultimately launch this program?
Well, products don't ever sell themselves, and so it's not about the product. It's about the sales message, right? And so I only care about the sales message. I only care about making something that is so, like, I'm never going to actually build the product before I sell it. I will always build the product with the initial purchasers because that's part of that purple ocean. They're building it with me. Great book, Innovator's Dilemma, says that since new markets don't exist, if they don't exist, they can't be analyzed. So in order for you to make a new market, you actually have to discover it with the purchaser. And so that's exactly why I do that. So I only care about sales message. That's it. Sales message, sales message. And when someone stands up and they hear my message, they're like, that was so cool. And they take their wallet and they like hurl it across the room. And I have the credit card machine. It goes and it swipes the credit card. I'm like, yeah, now I know that I can go spend money on ads. Now I know that I've hit the message on the head. Now I can spend inordinate amounts of time making the product with the initial buyers. And so I'll always go out and I'll sell the thing. You know, I always launch my stuff this way, sell it. And then the initial purchasers, they're going to make it with me week by week by week, mostly by getting on with me as I record, or mostly, lots of Q&As as I kind of roll it out. But it's super important. I spent 8 months building my first product and it sucked. And it's because I spent all the time building the product and no time thinking through the sales message. So I didn't get sales forever which is so backwards, right? It's not about the product, it's about the sales message.
Okay, you do mention in your plan that a free webinar is going to be largely the strategy you'll rely on in order to push your course out into the marketplace, even going so far as to seek out JV partners that could potentially help you expand the reach as well. So I was just wondering why this is such a pivotal part of your strategy and why you favor it over potential other strategies.
I just really believe in the webinar script itself. It's amazing how powerful that is. That all works by destroying the false beliefs of the people listening. And what's cool though is that I can write the webinar script and use that on multiple platforms. It doesn't need to be a webinar funnel. I might take that script and go put it into a blog, or I might go put it into put on YouTube videos, or I've broken it up and put it in a product launch funnel or different funnels like that. But it is, I don't know. I've never, ever, repeatedly, I'll just tell you, like, I sat this far away from the man for years, right? And he said all the time, he goes, man, if someone held a gun to my head and said, you have a 1 month to make $1 million, he's like, I immediately would go to webinar. And it was when I started doing them for my own stuff, I was like, holy crap, I see why. Because the numbers work very, very well. They usually sell things that are mid-tier. You're going to spend around $5 per registrant, and you don't really need that many purchasers to, first of all, recover everything, but then make all this cash. And it's just, since they're going to spend an hour to 2 hours with you on a webinar, there's more apt to purchase. It helps you have the time to tell the story emotionally enough to break all their beliefs and offer something new. It is, I don't know, it's easily, in my mind, it's the most effective way to sell things, that script on multiple levels. And then the JVs, the hope would be to just go grab the people I'm interviewing, reaching 2 levels up, and do JVs with them in the future.
Sounds like a plan. Well, we are moving on to the last week of your 30-day plan, where you are going to be a pretty busy bee because you've got a lot of things going on, like recording content for your program, as well as hosting some of those JV webinars. I'd love to ask you what other really important activities are happening this week that you'd like to share with our audience.
If you've done a good job on the actual sales message and they know why they bought, never make it a bait and switch kind of thing. Every time I've done this, obviously, you're going to, you come out and you say, did you guys like that? That was amazing. What if I helped you out? They're like, yeah, I'll help you out. And then you're like, sweet, letting you know it's not done. And so you guys get an early bird access for $9.97, and they'll jump on in, and start buying. What that means is here's the schedule and the rollout. So there's no bait and switch on the way I roll those things out at all. But it's super busy for a solid month there, because you're just filming and putting stuff up and filming, putting stuff up. And I'd say the most key part to this entire thing is that I always do live Q&As with the people who are buying. And it's a value add to them because they get their questions answered. But really what I'm doing is I'm seeing if the content that I'm creating is hitting the mark that my sales message promised. So I got the sales message and they're like, yeah, that's cool. They threw the wallet. Well, they're inside. They're making it with me. And then I got this Q&A thing that I'm doing every single week with them. They are spot checking me without them knowing it. And it's super helpful. This is a busy week.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Steve, it's been such a pleasure having you here on this interview. I'd love to give you one more chance to share any final thoughts with our audience before we wrap this up.
Well, what's interesting is that when Russell asked about this, I was like, heck yeah, I'll do it. And he's like, funny enough, dude, you just lived it. I was like, I know. That's why this is so crazy. He's like, keep track of everything you're doing throughout the days. And that's very, very akin to what I actually did on the rollout. I created the podcast. I did it. But for me, it's not like a theory thing. I did do it this way. And so it's not, it's fascinating. I mean, the first month it pulled $100,000, with hardly any ads. Mostly because of all the publishing and all the podcasting and all the stuff and it amassed this audience. And I just kept dropping out little hooks to them. Hey, it's coming soon. Get on the waiting list. It's coming soon. Get on the waiting list. And if there's anything I could last piece of advice just on the exit, I guess. A marketer is an event creator. I think we get robbed by things like Facebook campaigns. A campaign is not a Facebook ad. A campaign is an event. Pre-Facebook, pre the internet, there were still campaigns being run, and there are these micro events. And if you are a marketer, there's 2 things that I would think would be the most highest leverage things you could ever study: how to run campaigns, which is like an event, right? Kind of like what I was doing. It's coming, and you build that pressure up. It's coming, and then you open it up, and all these sales come, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And then you keep dropping it out, And then the second thing, so as far as an event campaign creator, the second thing though is you have got to be amazing at telling stories. It will break and rebuild people's beliefs, and it will be the parachute for every shortcoming when it comes to script writing, or something in your funnel looks like crap, or you really aren't that good of a presenter yet. Just tell stories. And that right there is what a marketer really is at the core.
Fantastic. Steve, thank you so much for sharing all of the incredible value that you have on today's interview. We really do appreciate it. For those of you at home who are ready to embark on your own 30-day path to success, I have something awesome to share with you. It's called the One Funnel Away Challenge. You can learn more by clicking the button on this page and upgrading for your chance to work directly with a ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club coach so that you can craft your own customized and personalized 30-day plan to success and getting that next award-winning funnel launched. But that's not all you're going to be receiving when you upgrade. You are also going to get some amazing bonuses, including a physical copy of the 30-Day Summit book, which contains all of the written versions of the 30-day plans that all of the speakers have created for this event. You're going to get unlimited access to the interview that you just saw with Steve, and of course all of the other Summit speakers on this event. And this is my favorite part, you're also going to be getting a second bonus interview with every single speaker featured on the 30-Day Summit, where they are taking me behind the scenes of their 2 Comma Club funnels and actually showing me via screen share how they've set those funnels up. It is absolutely amazing value and something you do not want to miss out on. So make sure that you click the button on this page today to learn more about the One Funnel Away Challenge and upgrade. And Steve, once again, thank you so much for being a part of the summit. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.